Right, Yababim, and there were discussions on Chelsea versus Wolves. Chelsea, after dropping points in the Champions League or midweek, I raised a bit of concerns from the fans. I'm not too convinced about Enzo Maresca. I mean, the inconsistency in terms of results for Chelsea or in recent times. And Chelsea best big game na Chelsea share. The following game game K2 was a Chelsea to meet Edim Kunimno. Na koyin SMP. But I mean, me sure say Chelsea fans and fan channel if on Saturday night 8 p.m. at Stamford Bridge say Chelsea and to me and share Wolverhampton Wanderers. Yes, Wolverhampton Wanderers are Pamo Omo coach. Okay. And we all know what the new manager bounce at the bar. And now says the manager be honor results in Konya Pamona Empoe Castle be here. You need to be here. And we have a good game at hand, I mean, at Stamford Bridge. But let's all subscribe to the channel. Your video share to WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups for links link to na man for NJB. One na phobia between them on WhatsApp so no I was some more. Yeah, that's most support here, most support here pa na very soon. You better ho. You name baba be here videos. Video centers. You pre-match, post-match ni adi nyina. Enti monko so anhwe ni very soon. You better muna sinafi yani mo abidin komo bebre afa enti Chelsea versus Wolves and the game here discusses is here. Could be the issue of inconsistency with regards to results or Chelsea no. A player soon as sometimes trimude bomu and a manager need to there. And as a issue of tactics, meaning what is wrong. Chelsea be big game or cautious pace. The next game, Karabakh in the Champions League, not Chelsea, I could drop a points. Meaning what is wrong?
Medasi Senior, I think the problem with Chelsea, no, generally, to put it in proper perspective, no, I see it to be lack of consistency. So inconsistency on the part of Chelsea and it creates such problems. Now inconsistencies, no, you put it at the doorstep of the manager, and some of them too as a result of injuries, and individual players maybe also have not been consistent with the sort of performance you need say on any good day. So for example, on the part of the manager, baby me see ubetimi di bia to manager no doorstep anu say on one kasa when it comes to player selection. There are a lot of times can onyano correct today, the following day we will decide to be changing some of the players. And you see, football is such that you play with understanding. And CM fan is say ball roughly 14 games, 15 games into the season. Let's say one game in the EFL Cup or two, 3 or 4 games in the Champions League, and also 10 games in the Premier League. Early days, even in the Premier League, we are looking at 38 games, and you have ball like 10. So you still have 28 more games to go. Early days yet, but so checky games at Chelsea abonyana every so be who say 3 games consistently, continuously, the same set of players. Ejna failed Nuswa or Moebo, even in the Premier League and also in the Champions League. And today, different set of players are playing. The following game, Ubun say changes aba. Then the next game, same. For example, last 2 games at Chelsea abo. One was away to Spurs, or the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Chelsea managed to win by a goal to 0. That game, not Chelsea beat me actually even more than that. Very impressive. But in the end, we managed to score just a goal and fire all the 3 points. It was a very good win for Chelsea because before that game, no Martin Fear lose to Sunderland. Then the next game in the Champions League against Karabakh, what happened? You say manager Nasisa set up no cry completely. Why? Maybe because who say Karabakh there and a tough side in the Champions League, so obetimi changes and still win. Until we saw that in the end, changes no. Yes, Chelsea took the lead, but the team was somehow weakened. Now what they never form. Until Karabakh came into the picture after Chelsea had taken lead, no, got the equalizer, took the lead, and Sana fi manager Nisha say or reverted to the normal lineup na eya ota yusuni adie. Chelsea benya equalizer, but it was too late for them to get the match winner. Until edu baby a manager ne selection of players a big issue. And then of course in some situations too, injuries who say maybe a only option the only option is the because reliable no anyhow. For example, today in the Chelsea setup, Chelsea any reliable number 10 be apart from Kopama. Yes, you may have other players on beat me but performance no the Bemano. Can you compare that to Kopama? I think no. Even though some of them may play in that position to a level where beat media winning games, but between them and Kopama, we know the difference. Kopama is a different person altogether. Today, Upesa Okase the only special player in the Chelsea setup. I mean, sure say obviously Kopama Dina Beba. Levi or more injuries near there, even Romeo, it doesn't work. And because Kopama's absence, it will be a manager and said Ubia to play there. It will be another decide say Obi Pushy Enzo Fernandez or no any Caicedo and a ball in the middle consistently for a very long time for Chelsea. No, those no Pushy Fernandez number 10 rule. No approve before for it as Andre Santos and I say Romeo Lavia Feta or Nabeka Caicedo any other. So we've seen a lot of changes. It be as a result of injuries. It be so on manager na ankasa. You don't just understand. The problem with Chelsea no inconsistency. We sure say this is clear for the manager to observe. Even for those of us we can observe from afar and see that inconsistency. There are times changes need or I think it needless, but I mean that is Maresca for you. He's been doing that, and anytime Obenya the game plan correct or be consistent with the set of players will be used to. Who say Chelsea performance near different altogether. Compare the game against Spurs to that of the Club World Cup final at Chelsea ni PSG boy. Who say a lot of similarities line up ni almost every player I was starting against PSG started against Spurs last weekend with a section of Kopama na Uniho and Levi Kouonu out because of injuries. So at this is how the Chelsea situation is, and I think a lot will depend on the manager until he needs to resolve it. Sometimes changes need to be a more senior. Clearly, you say needless. So the problem is inconsistency, and the manager has to solve it.
But me sure say Chelsea need be a kodane. Say ade betchen me mene da man team Chelsea abo against Wolves Bejana imsisi be man nightmares ni ade. This is Wolves. Almost struggle. We shall say what a whole baby no say no man could for them. And by virtue of that, we must sack your manager ni ade. And a game at Chelsea ni be expect say Chelsea will win without sweating against Wolves.
Yes, ordinarily Sana was a Basinia. Nemu say ushe game ni din na share other factors and dynamics now. You may be wrong when you expect that automatically Chelsea should walk over Wolves. Say your last 2 seasons a game way a tough one for Chelsea because last 2 seasons home and away under Pochettino Wolves dominated Chelsea and won all those 2 games. Chelsea need Wolves a boy, but last season was a different story. Chelsea took over and won the 2 encounters against Wolves. Even this season, the only time at Chelsea knew Wolves at ball was in the EFL Cup, and we saw how it happened. Yes, Wolves a bad game, but in the end, Chelsea won with a lineup who say na manager na a lot of changes compared to omo board the Premier League games and all of that. That is how the situation is. But who say the man may confident as a Chelsea fan, and I say, let me put it this way: so we a Chelsea fan, the also ma unya GD say this game is not one of those games at Chelsea. Ebe lose no say Wolves a situation can after 10 Premier League games, omu winning game there. Oma draw only 2 of the games until they have 2 points out of 30 points. Clearly, it's not the best. They concede as well, right? Now, omo a very tight situation. You say after 10 games, we win be 2 points out of 30 points. Very terrible. It is a ukobo game be a kanu. I don't think say it will be proper for you to approach the game with a defensive mindset, because in the end you need to win, you need to score, and some way to score line be a bit more stable. Yes, say Wolves if free Stamford Bridge normally 1 point air they can celebrate it some way somehow, because a point air was Stamford Bridge is a good one. But you say the situation is such that so your Wolves managers see near the game team national and see Kobo game beer, you must make sure say ube call for goals. Into the situation with Wolves no, and yet to say the see here the last time it was Stamford Bridge when Chelsea played against Sunderland. Sunderland, they went under any pressure, and so the manager decided say let me go with 5-4-1 and make sure say more numbers in the middle, more numbers at the back. In that game Sunderland didn't open up. In the Chelsea, yes, or bar, no man catch you on the break. And yeah, a very difficult playing against such teams. Teams now can close spaces, a defending so deep half no. A very difficult, especially say uni attackers are ubetimi the ball na call wings. I put it in crosses, amomo, ediomuti, I had the balls nasha. And that is the problem at Chelsea encounter against Sunderland. But against Wolves, I think Wolves will be forced to open up and get goals, and now get a goal until you can't defend.
How about say Wolves? Rebecca say you're vulnerable. Maybe a manager here say yes, we are that poor. And you can say your Chelsea say Buya Bemba is scoring us. I mean, many goals, such as Besham will be at 3, 4, 5. Tisadia, young Wochi, young Pona, Chelsea, I say 1-0, and I say 1-1, and I say nil be near the qua, and better chance at Wolves ever lose this game. So thereby trying to defend more than attacking against Chelsea.
Yes, and that is the next point I was going to raise. So what Wolves are can your teams be Honoma, Omuye known for proper defensive games. So what you say? Oliver Glasner, Crystal Palace no. One side that they can defend very well. They can really defend very well. Even Everton under David Moyes, on a very good day they can defend. Your teams be on ma said these guys they know how to play defensive games. But Wolves any one of those teams. From time I will say about Premier League near the end, wherever they've been, they don't know how to defend. Into whether you at any point in time they love to open up and play. And some teams no can say decide say defend there. No. I had to say Pep Guardiola side. I will decide say person could defend. Pep side a good when they have the ball on the turf. And this could defend an opponent say or the long balls air bar almost struggle to defend the area balls any idea. And that's where I see say a tough one for Wolves. So I say a very tough one, because if they want to defend, they don't know how to defend. And even if you defend, yes, unya 1 point a year there. But aside that about 10 games, I won't mean we need game be there. Can me here sure say it will be proper for you to say we decide say who call any game who could defend it. Unless the opponent between winning opponent a mover. But we seen a Chelsea side or so near consistent. Chelsea fans a hope say so after the Club World Cup final by starting season na sure say the akosu so far no actually say Chelsea really strong like that Emma opponent like that. The reason why Sunderland can map up a strategy and come and pick the 3 maximum points any idea. So a tough one for Wolves, and say we a manager, this is not the time say no my tough like that now all travel across Stamford Bridge, very difficult. So I understand and I agree with you say one of those games you win at Chelsea lose very shocking. A man for be disappointed in Chelsea, and it's true a game Chelsea needs to win, and the entire was a Chelsea winning is they need to be consistent. So after losing to Sunderland, what Spurs, yes, you've won EFL Cup game, even in the Champions League was a draw, but coming back at home to play the next Premier League game, you need to get results, and consistency is key.
All right, final thoughts on this game and then prediction.
So I mean, it's obvious. I'm expecting say Enzo Maresca and go back to the usual things now because one of those things a bit me see Chelsea are struggling in the game. Go back to the lineup of the boy against Spurs and you are good to go. I mean, anytime you be decided say or ball Reece James alongside Caicedo won't feel no push Enzo Fernandez ako the number 10 role no I mean Chelsea are very comfortable because Reece James are there a lot defensively midfield and he's also very good on the ball with the passes near there. I mean in the last game against Spurs you will say Wesley Fofana and so by only too strong because of injuries near there, but he had a very good game against Spurs. And I mean he's earned that respect. Say you can throw him into the next game, right? Alongside Chalobani, Kuku, Malo Gusto Muech. Of course, when it comes to the goalkeeper, the number 1 Robert Sanchez. I expect him to start Garnacho again. The left wing, right wing, Pedro Neto, right? With Joao Pedro leading the attack, and then Enzo Fernandez, and so Ebe operating from the number 10 role. With this lineup, seriously, me who were Wolves Ebefa to get something in the game. I think that the OCC and the manager and go back to this lineup now actually some level of consistency in terms of player selection, and that will be all for Chelsea.
So the prediction?
A win. I mean something like a 2-win, 3-1 or 2-1 win for Chelsea. Whichever way it is, Chelsea will win.
All right. Okay, so Saturday 8 p.m. Stamford Bridge, Chelsea and Wolverhampton Wanderers. What's your predictions? Anything? For the comment section, and that's it.